So I'm here with Tom Dee, President and CEO of Southwestern Vermont Healthcare. And I believe we met through Tom Huebner a number of years back. And as I was just sharing with you, I started this leadership series a couple months ago. And when I was talking to Tom Huebner, he said, you really got to include Tom in this series. And I was really glad that you agreed to have this conversation today.
Wow, thanks for coming down.
Absolutely. So I want to start with kind of a big picture question. Tell me about your vision for healthcare in southern Vermont and how your organization plays a role in that.
Well, maybe I can start by talking about our vision for Southwestern Vermont healthcare, and then how it dovetails into, I think, a broader vision.
Perfect.
So our vision, and this is something we established when I came, it's close to 9 years now, and was really to become a preeminent, widely known small rural health system, an integrated small rural health system that really provides exceptional care, that provides high quality, safe and affordable care to all the people of our region here. And so some of the key aspects of that really relate to the fact that we see ourselves moving into an integrated system, where it goes beyond the acute care model into a much broader health system of course, hospital care, but ambulatory services, primary care, long-term care services, home care, and also into the community in terms of where we see ourselves playing out. And we viewed that vision that we would, in many ways, help to be a centerpiece, but really to be a facilitator. Because the future of healthcare is moving away from the acute care model. The acute care really, the hospital model really drove things for many years. But that's changing, and and it's really, it's pretty remarkable during my time here, the fact that, I've seen the migration just of our revenue stream, where we were historically, hospitals typically would get probably 80% of their revenue from the hospital care. Now it's moving to, this year, for 2018, only 20% of our revenue is from inpatient care. 80% is from ambulatory services, primary care, other services that are non-hospital. So it's really changing the focus of the model of care that we need to provide. But I view us working with many providers, traditional healthcare and non-healthcare type providers and organizations in the area. And for instance, we've created what's called the Bennington Community Collaborative, and has, I think, 19 different partners in it right now, from the hospital to home care, to health department, to our local mental health service in town here, to housing, to social services. So it's a broad array of healthcare providers and non-healthcare, traditional non-healthcare providers. And our focus is, how can we help each other to care for our community? So we facilitate it, we help the meetings take place here, we provide some of the leadership folks, but really it's all of us working together. And so I view that the future of healthcare is how we work with enhancing population health and trying to help keep people healthy, and people who have chronic disease, how we can help them in terms of dealing with their chronic disease. And it's been a great experience. It's been one which we've learned a lot. And certainly one of the things we learned is that we are not the center of the universe. We are a major player, and we accept that role, but we also are a major convener of trying to help others come together to meet the needs of the community.
It's really interesting. You covered a lot there, and I think in the years that we've both been in healthcare, healthcare has really transformed itself. and, you know, being that, as you kind of, a convener and a facilitator, rather than the center of the universe.
It's really in my world, it's redefining the H. You know, we all see the you know, the H sign that's, you know, everywhere for, you know, directing people to the hospital. That's true, but the H is now going to be a much bigger umbrella.
Sure.
And in some organizations, I have to be honest, Kathy, struggle with that.
Sure. Sure.
You know, they struggle with, you know, their whole, you know, their whole mindset and culture is based around the hospital being, you know, the center of things. And, you know, clearly we'll play a major role.
Sure.
But, you know, I think it's much more of a broad team sport in terms of how we're going to help to, you know, care for our populations. Because we can't solve all the problems, and especially when you're in a small rural area.
Sure.
The needs are so diverse, the resources are limited, so you have to be much more creative in terms of how you're going to meet the healthcare needs of a population of people that is, you often don't have a dense population.
Sure.
But you're often covering a broad geography.
Right.
And with people, oftentimes they don't have the resource or access. So the challenges are very significant. Different than where I came from, which was much more of a suburban region.
Sure.
Much more populated, much more having, you know, different providers virtually on almost every street corner. You don't have that in rural America. Right.
It's interesting. Yeah. I want to go back to the word preeminent that you used in describing your vision. I remember when I first came to Vermont 20 years ago now, and we started to talk about Rutland Regional becoming an excellent organization, and people were like, wait, excellent? This is Vermont, right? And it took a while. So I'd love to hear how that word preeminent came to be part of your vision. Did you bring that with you, or is that something that developed here? And how did that take hold?
I think it came out of our strategic planning process of our organization, which included board members and physician leaders and executive staff leaders and staff people, and we went through probably a better part of a 9-month strategic plan. And we talked to a lot of stakeholders, and we talked about our history, what we've accomplished, and where we think we need to go in the future. And it's a word that we thought kind of captured the direction. It's you know, and it's one which you know, how you define it. I mean,
sure.
But we set up for certain metrics in terms of how we would define it. And you know, one was a magnet designation was one.
Yeah.
Other one was recognitions through the Joint Commission, through various organizations that you know, measure quality. CMS was one.
Yeah.
And we thought that if we could you know, if we could measure our outcomes of how we're doing, and we were able to tell our story, and telling the story is a big piece of this, we thought we would be able to, you know, strive to become a preeminent small health system.
Sure.
And not there yet, but it's a journey.
Right.
And vision's all about the journey. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, you know, reading about your organization from not too far of a distance, I mean, you have accomplished many of those things. 4-time magnet designation. That's remarkable.
Yeah.
And many other validations from the external world.
It's you know, as I said, it's a team effort here, and it's and there's a legacy that was here prior to my time in terms of nursing excellence, and I think just a culture of collaboration that has our physicians and our nurses and our support personnel and our administrative team and our going right from our board members, all working together. And you know, recently we got an attainment which we're very proud of, the fact that you know, CMS Medicare just gave us a 5-star ranking, and not only for us at the hospital, but for our nursing home. And so we're the only 5-star in Vermont. and it's kind of, I came out of New York, so I kind of, sometimes I refer back to New York. So New York has 260 hospitals and health systems. I mean, a lot of fine providers. Only 2 in New York have 5-star status. So we're pretty proud of that.
Absolutely.
That's something which took a lot of work, and what's remarkable is that they use, and it's not based on public relations or opinions or how well you're known. It's based on 55 criteria, metrics of measurement, from quality, safety, patient satisfaction, cost, and 55 indicators. And so we've been a 4-star for the last, I believe it's the last 4 years, but we finally crossed that, and we were able to get the 5-star. In the same year, our nursing home, which was 2 stars 3 years ago, through a lot of work, moved up to 5-star too. So the hospital and nursing home both getting the 5 stars is an indication, not that we're the best, but I think it's an indicator that we're going in the right direction.
Right. And
that's what I always look for. I always look for markers of direction.
Right.
Because things are always changing.
Right.
One year you get this designation, next year you don't. But what is your, what direction are you going as an organization? That's what we tend to measure that a lot.
Excellent, excellent. So you've talked a lot about measurement, and that's great. Too many organizations just kind of go by opinion and not really measure. Yes, in healthcare we measure all sorts of things, but it's really those great organizations that are setting a high bar for their measurement. So I want to kind of leapfrog off of that and talk about some of the accomplishments that you've had here in your 9 years that you're most proud of. You've mentioned several, but as you kind of step back, like what are the biggest accomplishments that you say, wow, we're really making some big strides?
Yeah, well, certainly I would say that the quality attainment of 5 stars is a huge one.
Of course.
That was a major institutional accomplishment. Of course, I would say that Magna is one which we're very proud of. That is ongoing, and you're coming from Rutland. Rutland is a Magna hospital, so some of the work that takes, which is really for a small institution. And I think we're one of the top 2 or 3 smallest in the country.
Yeah.
So it really is, for us it's kind of special. But also, I think one of the accomplishments that maybe this is much more intangible. But when I came here, I came here in the midst of, there was some turmoil when I first came. We were going through some difficult financial times, and the hospital had gone through a major layoff. And laid off close to 100 people. So that's a large number in any organization.
Sure.
But when you're the centerpiece in terms of largest employer in the area, the impact was very, very significant. And when I came here, there was certainly a palpable feeling of a lack of trust. And I think the feeling was that we kind of, we didn't do our part. We didn't keep our promises. We said we'd do certain things, and it didn't happen.
Okay.
And it was an unfortunate circumstance. It was a lot of things happened. It's not one person's fault, but it's an institutional failure.
Sure.
And so I had spent probably my first 2 to 3 years, Kathy, trying to reestablish trust. And not only with our employees, our physicians, our community, our legislators. I remember I think it was my first 3 weeks in the job. I had to go up to the state regulatory organization. At the time it was called BISCA.
Right. Yes, I remember BISCA.
BISCA was a regulatory oversight commission, and I got grilled there in terms of what happened down here, and it was really making many allegations that were very negative. But it was clearly they didn't trust SVHC, even to the point that they were suing the health system at the time.
Oh wow.
So it took a lot of time, and I really didn't quite know that coming in here.
Sure,
I was going to have that level of I thought the challenge, well, a challenge, I've got a financial challenge.
Sure,
I've dealt
yes.
with those before.
Sure.
Always difficult, but I didn't quite appreciate that, how deep-seated it goes. And oftentimes when you go through those difficult challenges, you know, people say sometimes it can be generational. Well, you have to reestablish yourself. Well, I think it hasn't been generational, but it's been a long journey.
Sure.
And I think it's one which, you know, now we do a lot of, you know, we do sample studies, we do opinion surveys, both, you know, and we do employee engagement surveys, but we also do surveys in the community to get a sense of how we're being perceived, and I think we've made a remarkable turnaround there.
Excellent.
And again, that's a lot of people working hard.
Right.
You know, that goes from the board members to the doctors to administration to other people just, you know, really telling our story.
Sure, sure.
You know, storytelling is important,
Right.
and we've had stories here.
Right, right. Rebuilding trust, yeah. So I want to focus a bit on your leadership in particular, and kind of two parts to it. Can you kind of describe your leadership approach and how that has maybe changed over time?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's probably a little bit of a overused, and I don't want to say trite term, but it's, you know, it kind of fits for me a little bit as the servant leader background in terms of trying to help others succeed. And as they get better and succeed more and more, you get the benefit of the halo effect.
Right,
you know? And you know, I have a strong philosophy of hiring the best people. Don't be afraid to hire people that are smarter than you are, who have the talent to do more than you have.
Right.
You know, I'm a big believer. I come from a sports background. You know, I used to play basketball. And I know the importance of putting together the right team.
Sure.
And understanding that, you know, I help to play the, you know, maybe help to conduct it, play the bass notes at times, but really it's a team that gets us to where we need to be. And so my style is really, you know, finding the best people, finding the right role for them, and fitting them into the puzzle.
Sure.
And then giving them the latitude to do their job.
Right.
And to do it very well. I'm not a micromanager, but I do hold people accountable.
Yeah.
And we set expectations together. And I think it's one which has served well. You know, and I realize that, you know, putting together a hospital is an interesting organization, Kathy, as you well know. It's a microcosm of society.
Right.
And, you know, lots of people. I mean, we're a small place, but you know, we employ over 1,400 people. To me, it's not a big organization. It's funny. I'll go back to my New York days. I mean,
sure.
It's interesting. In Vermont, I think we're the 9th largest organization by employee size.
Right.
In New York, we wouldn't be the top 500.
Right.
But it's a microcosm, so I think, you know, in my role, I have to kind of keep all the parts moving. Sure. Making sure I can help to get the resources that people need to do their jobs.
Sure.
To do their, you know, they're all talented. We have a lot of talented people here.
Right.
I mean, I'm amazed the level of expertise and talent we have. And part of that is the whole escape to Vermont syndrome.
Sure.
People come here for lifestyle. They come here for reasons that are all varied, but they're here. And, you know, the number of, you know, we have 100% board certified medical staff. You know, as a you know, indicator. Many physicians who could be at academic medical centers teaching and have been in the past, but they chose to come to Vermont. Right. And we have many you know, PhD, doctoral trained people here. Sure. And others. So we have a lot of talent, and part of my role is helping to mesh that talent together. Sure. And to create an environment that allows them to do their work, to be successful, feel happy, and to ultimately provide the care that we need for our patients. And do it in a way which is, you know, invigorating, rewarding, and that they want to stay here.
Right.
And we're proud of the fact. This is our 4th straight year. We're one of the top places to work in Vermont. We're the only healthcare provider on the list. And it's been 4 straight years we've been doing it, and that's something we work hard at, to try to create that environment where people want to be here.
Sure, sure.
And it's kind of like again, it's almost like the magnet environment, but we want to do it throughout the organization.
Right, with all types of disciplines and
But I think how it's changed over the years is I realized that I certainly I don't have the talent or the expertise or the breadth to do things all on my own.
Sure,
I realize that more and more.
Right.
And so it's really, it's been an awakening there, but it's also, it's fun. I mean, it kind of goes back to my team approach.
Right.
And we work together, and we succeed together, and we fail together.
Right.
So.
Interesting. So I wonder if you'd go down this path with me a little bit, because you used a word, accountability. You create a great team of people around you, and you hold them accountable. And I think so many leaders I talk to don't really know how to do that well. Any insights you'd share with, say, other leaders about how to create good collaborative accountability?
Yeah. Well, we create team goals together. Organizational goals is what drives us, and we even tie this into their review system. Their reward system here is based primarily on team goals, but also having individual goals too.
Yeah. Okay.
And we agree upon what those goals are, and again, we review where we are every month. We go through those, where are we on track, where are we off track, who's going to handle what, who's got the accountability, who's got the point responsibility for these various initiatives. Now, they're always broad-based, but there always has to be a point person.
Absolutely.
I need one person I can point to and say, okay, what do we need to do to move this along?
Sure.
So I think it kind of is based on, and it's tough. I mean, these are never easy processes to create.
Right.
But if you keep the goals out front, you keep reviewing them, you keep them visible, you talk about them, you tie people's performance and compensation to those goals. I think those are all markers that help keep accountability on task.
Sure.
And the more that you develop a relationship with your team, others hold people accountable too.
Right.
It's just,
right.
But that's the maturing of an organization.
Absolutely.
You don't want to have infighting, but you have to have a healthy level of dynamic tension that keeps people kind of on their toes and keeps people, looking at what's happening and again, more accountable for your results.
Excellent.
So there's a balance there.
There is a balance there, and when I work with organizations, sometimes I find their process for reviewing progress is more the explaining away why we couldn't achieve something, rather than sort of owning up to it and saying, here's where I need help from my colleagues. And so, that more mature approach sounds like what your team is about.
But we have the same issues we all, including myself, we all can point to reasons why this didn't happen, that didn't happen. But it's, all of us, I think we strive to find how do we get around the problems, so we can get something, so we can accomplish our mission.
Yeah. Good. So as I mentioned, part of this video series I'm sharing with, a large audience, but up-and-coming leaders is part of the audience that's been kind of watching this video series. And so I was wondering if you could share some kind of pearls of wisdom with kind of up-and-coming leaders.
Well, I'm sure Kathy made pearls of wisdom I have.
Well, let's see.
It's just, I guess, been around a long time, a lot of failures too. But I think this is the basics. I know there's different generations and different perspectives on things, but I still come from a school of, and over time, it's, you know, number one is really, you know, working very hard. I think, you know, there's no making up for. I mean, hard work oftentimes can cover a lot of other deficits. Mm. You know, and if you see some of the most successful people out there, then they're not always the brightest. You know, they don't always have, you know, all the answers, but they're dogged and they're determined, and they keep coming back. And I think, you know, the hard work is very important to do. It's sometimes it's a little sobering as you start to meet people entering the workforce. People want to go right to the top right away. Right. They expect to be near the top. I said, geez, it doesn't work that way. Mm-hmm. And so I'm showing my age, but I think it's one which, you know, the determination, hard work, and another one which I think is critical is you got to be a nice person. Mm-hmm. You got to be a nice person. You got to be respectful. And I know a lot of people have succeeded over the years who maybe not be that way.
Sure.
But I think it's amazing how much better people do when they're nice. They look out for others. They're respectful of everyone. Mm-hmm. I mean everyone. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not just people you want to respect. You know, it's people that, you know, that really at all aspects of any organization. Everyone's got important jobs, and they're hard jobs.
Sure.
And I think, you know, showing the gratitude, showing the respect, and a smile can do wonders.
Yeah.
In terms of helping, and that helps to create a culture of an organization too.
Sure does.
If your senior leadership team makes eye contact, they're smiling, they're nice, they take an extra moment just to stop and say something to someone.
Sure.
It creates an environment that people can feel it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I was thinking I actually jotted down a couple other things. I knew you were going to ask me this question.
That's great.
Well, I'm showing my background, but I think it's important to have that team approach. Mm-hmm. You know, I think it's helping others accomplish and helping others look better ultimately does reflect on you.
Absolutely. So
don't be thinking you have to always get all the praise, all the light, the spotlight, because it reflects on you when you're helping others.
Okay.
And people see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people talk about that.
Yeah.
You know, I'd also say don't be afraid to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, but what I'd also say is make sure you learn from your failure. Because, you know, if you don't learn from it, that's a real problem.
Right. Repeated failure is not success.
Repeated failure is not success, and, you know, ultimately it can't be tolerated.
Sure.
If you're not, you know, but sometimes you fail for the right reason.
Sure. You're
trying something that you're out of the box, you're being innovative, it may not quite be ready.
Right.
But, so don't be afraid to try it. Make sure you communicate to people.
Sure.
But also make sure you learn from it.
Yeah. That's great.
So,
that's great.
Just, you know, some thoughts.
Yeah, I like those. So, as you kind of look to the future over the next few years, what are some of the goals that you have for your organization?
Well, you know, Kathy, when I came here and we started doing a strategic planning process pretty quickly when I got here, one of the things that was clear to me, and actually people accepted it very quickly, much faster and easier than I thought, was we need, you know, we've been successful, we've had a, you know, close to at the time it was, you know, 90 plus years. Now this year's our 100th anniversary. Mm-hmm. But we need to be part of something bigger. We need, you know, we don't have the critical mass, we don't have the size. We're in a very challenging economic environment here. We need to be part of something that we can that we can tap into in terms of working together, both from a intellectual capital and from a resource standpoint.
Sure.
So we're rounding that bend. You know, we are working closely with Dartmouth Hitchcock.
Yep.
You know, certainly a nationally and internationally known institution. You know, we're not looking to merge together, but we're looking to have a close collaborative model of working. And I think that's going to transform us into ways that, you know, it will facilitate and enhance our mission here. And I'll give you one example. You know, we're moving towards a model with them that we'd like to become a teaching hospital.
Okay.
And, you know, and I think we can. I think we can with them. Where I came from before, we were a little bit bigger in here, but not that much bigger. And we became, we opened up a very vibrant, successful family practice division. And as you know from your travels, primary care is a big deal. A big deal, especially in Vermont, in rural America. Lack of primary care physicians is a tremendous challenge. And so this is an example where we're going to partner with a bigger academic center that has a teaching programs is able, and it's amazing. They have 550 residents at Dartmouth, but not a single family practitioner. So we're saying, let's start one.
Wow.
And let's make it here as the base for the program. And we're going to probably work with another hospital, another partner hospital, Cheshire, and split up the residents between both facilities. And so it's going to change, you know. I mean, a couple of years ago I started a podiatric residency program here, which has been very successful. But this will take us to the next level in terms of teaching services. And so I think that's how we're looking to transform our institution, our region. You know, we're not an academic center, we'll never be one.
Right.
We provide a number of high-level secondary services, but we should be very good at primary care.
Absolutely.
And that should be part of our mission, and that should be part of our strategic direction. And I think, you know, this is an example of something where we could really have an impact of bringing, you know, bringing young folks here to be trained. And what you ultimately see is they get trained here, and about 40 to 50% tend to stay in the area where they were trained, if you look at the research. So we're hopeful that will help to deal with a shortage of primary care that our region, the southern half of the state, is dealing with.
Sure. Getting that exposure to what a great place this is.
Right, and it makes you up your game. You know, when you're teaching, you know, residents to be physicians, it requires everyone to be at the top of their game in terms of how they do things and how they become part of the teaching experience.
Sure.
So I think, you know, as we will transform ourselves towards this arrangement, and we'll do more and more integration of services. And another example of how we're going to change the model is telemedicine. So we now have telemedicine in key aspects of our hospital, including the emergency room. But starting this summer, we'll have telemedicine in our ICU. So we'll be hooked up 24/7 to Dartmouth with their board-certified intensivists. And we don't have intensivists. Intensivists are board-certified critical care physicians. We have certified physicians, but they're not critical care certified. So this will allow us to have access to those physicians who can be part of our team, and our nurses and our physicians who round in ICU and want to have another layer of support that they've never had before. I think this allows us to keep more patients locally. It enhances the care that we provide to the patients. Our initial reaction in the emergency room has been very positive, and I think the technology is going to change a lot of how care is being provided. And the telemedicine is just one example of that.
Excellent. Well, what a great conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you for taking the time and stopping by and talking to me, and also going around and meeting other people. That's a wonderful thing to do.
Thanks.